What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some examples of good versus bad route running. So, we're going to be showing some bad examples of wide receivers running routes, working releases, and then we're going to show good examples of what those wide receivers did wrong, working the exact same situation. So, I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things, but also, fellas, if you are a receiver and you would like to get faster this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to 70 plus speed and agility drills. We break down every single specific drill into categories like plyometrics, running mechanics, and then we also include speed gym workout plans, on-field speed workout plans, 40-yard dash technique, and more. So if you guys would like to get faster, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to all of that, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first, we're going to be looking at a diamond release slant here from this wide receiver. So what's a diamond release? I'm going to play this full speed. So it's when you come off the ball, you take 3 hard steps at the DB's outside shoulder, trying to get him to open up, think that you're running a fade, and you slip back underneath. Then we're going to obviously show a positive example of this second, but I want to break down the mistakes that this wide receiver made. So the reason why he goes with this release, right, is because we have a DB who's inside shade. We know the DB is trying to prevent the inside route when he's inside shade. He does not want us to run the exact route we have, which is a slant. So our goal is not going to be, okay, I'm going to give him a quick jab to the outside, then cut across his face. That's not enough to make this dude bite. We got to try to get him to open up the gate, commit to a fade, and slip under him. So when you take this wide receiver does a little like hesitation release right here to kind of sell the fade a little bit more. Don't worry too much about that. We're focused on the top of this cut. So then he bursts up to the outside and he does a good job. First things first, he's selling fade. He's gaining ground with his stride. His hips and his shoulders are both committed to the fade. All of those things will tell that DB that, hey, this guy's running to the outside. It's probably, I'm going to have to make a decision here. Sit inside and give up the fade or commit to the fade. And if we can be a salesman, we can get this guy to open up. Now, this receiver kind of shoots himself in the foot here a little bit at the break point because he reaches on the cut. So many young wide receivers have this problem. They over-exaggerate their cuts, and that causes, their hand to raise, that causes their chest to lean back, causes their pad level to pop up, and a DB in press man coverage, where his eye's supposed to be keyed in on. He's supposed to be looking at the wide receiver's hips, right? So if you go and attack the outside, but at the break point, you reach out and you over-exaggerate, and your hips rise, your chest rise, your hand flies up in the air, you're dragging the back foot. Number one, that's going to make us slow, because when you guys make a cut outside of your frame, the first part of your foot that hits the ground is your heel. You cut going heel toe. This is not walking. We're not walking here, fellas. We're trying to cut and we're trying to drive off the cut. So if you guys land on your heel first, that's going to slow you down. You can't push off your heel. Your leg is going to like almost extend in a way. You have to drag for balance because when your feet are that wide, you're not in a balanced position. So not only is that slow, but that is an indicator with the upper half. When you reach, your chest pops up, chin pops up, and that tells the DB that a break is coming. He could put the brakes on and he has more time to react. We cannot give this guy any time to react when I'm trying to do a diamond release slant. So let's play this thing full speed. Then we're going to break down a positive example of this specific release, right, fellas? So we do not want to reach on our cuts. So this wide receiver's got the exact same situation. Inside shade press, DB's eyes are going to be on the hips. He does that same little shuffle release, and then he attacks outside on the diamond release. But I want you to pay attention to his pad level and the mechanics of his cut. So he comes off here, shove, 1, 2, 3, and he's in and out. Right? So that's the difference, fellas. That is the difference from a DB committing his hips and a DB not committing his hips based on how we sell the movement till the break point. Guys, we can't just sell it and then right before the break, all of my technique and all of my like salesmanship, if you will, goes out the window, right? So you attack to the outside. I want you to pay attention to his pad level. He comes off here. 1, that's his first step. Second step, third step. Nothing changes. He goes 1, 2, 3. Everything stays the same. Hips are forward, shoulders are forward. He's not slowing down before the cut. He's not reaching. Pay attention to how he strikes the ground with this cut. Ball of the foot, right, fellas? Because when you're on the ball of your foot, he can push and he could drive out of there, and there's no indicator. Guys, when you reach, there will be an indicator. Now, he throws the hand up a little bit. Do I like that? Not necessarily. If I'm coaching him up, I'd probably tell him to try to keep his elbows in and just run because you never know. But a DB isn't supposed to be looking at your hand. He's supposed to be watching your hips. And when he's watching your hips and that chest and that shoulder pop, or that hip and that shoulder pop straight up in the air, that is what we call an indicator. We want to avoid all indicators because that is what's going to get us that separation. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. A great example of this wide receiver hesitating, then getting into that diamond release and getting separation by simply being a salesman. All right, so now this next example we're going to be looking at here is a wide receiver running a corner route with an inside release. And this is going to be the negative example of this route, and then we're going to be showing a positive example of this route versus the exact same coverage. So when we have outside shade press, usually, especially in like a one-on-one setting, because I know receivers love their one-on-ones, you will get outside shade press when you cut your split down, right? So in a real game scenario, usually when you see outside shade press and it's man-to-man coverage, this DB has some kind of safety help to the inside. So he's got a single high free, maybe it's a two high free, and he's maybe playing like a two-man coverage where it's two high safeties over the middle of the field, but it's man underneath, cover one, whatever it might be. But in one-on-ones, you'll see this when you cut your split down because this DB's not an idiot. He knows you cut your split down to probably run an outside breaking route. So what we would do when we see outside shade press, real game situation or one-on-ones, it's the exact same way you'd want to approach it. You would want to attack him to the outside because, again, remember, he's outside leverage for a reason. Don't give up the corner. Don't give up the out. Don't give up the fade. Force everything inside to your safety help. Or just make it uncomfortable on the receiver to run this outside breaking route when it's one-on-ones. So we would try to attack him outside, get him to move, take the inside release, and my goal is to try to stack over the top of him. For those of you that don't know what stacking is, that is when this DB is trailing your back hip. You are directly over the top of him. Okay, so let's watch what this wide receiver does. He gives a move, takes this inside release. However, he makes a mistake of not getting skinny on the route. So that helps with my ability to restack. So what is getting skinny? Getting skinny is like essentially like everybody knows what like a skinny post is, right? So like if you're here and you're running a post, like a hard post is when you go to 45-degree angle. A skinny post is when you kind of take like a higher angle, if you will, right? So getting skinny, I guess, on a route, you wouldn't want to try to run away from the DB on like a hard angle. You would want to try to stay tight to him on a skinny angle, if you will, off the line of scrimmage. So with your release, this wide receiver, you see how he gives this move, but you see how he runs away, and there's kind of a big gap of space between us and the DB. So that makes it difficult for us to stack over the top. If there's a gap of space, that DB can cut off that gap of space. And he can almost beat us to the break point, which is what he does. We end up running this corner, and he's still sitting on the outside. That is the whole reason he played outside shade in the first place, to get to this position. So off the line of scrimmage, what this wide receiver should have done is that after he gives this move outside, instead of being here and keeping and running away from him, you should try to keep your hip and shoulder as tight to this DB's hip and shoulder as possible. That's what getting skinny is. I call it hip to hip. You want to be hip to hip with that DB off that line of scrimmage because, like, let's say, for example, we're not able to stack him, right? And at the break, like, let's say we can't stack him. Maybe he's fast. Maybe he's just faster than me, whatever it is. And he's right on your hip. At least I could use this arm and swat him by and maybe slip under him. And I gave my quarterback all kinds of space to the sideline to throw me open. Like, fellas, that's the whole reason we want to freaking take the inside release in the first place, is so you give the quarterback room. Not only the fact that this DB won't give up the outside, because that's his leverage. Even if you guys get lucky and maybe get an outside release and you break to the corner, that is not enough space, guys. I would rather, if I'm a quarterback and I've experienced with the position, I would rather have a receiver take an inside release and give me space and maybe have not the greatest break at the top of the route. Maybe it's a little bit slower or whatever, but you gave me space because now I can put the ball out there with some air and let you go run it down. But you break 5 yards from the sideline, I got no space. I cannot throw you open from that specific scenario. So we have to get skinny with my route in order to stack and get separation, but also maintain spacing, okay? So let's play this again full speed one more time. Just make sure we don't run away from the DB. We never want to keep a gap of space between me and him. Okay, so now, next example here. This is going to be a red zone corner, and this is actually probably harder to restack than the last example we saw when that was more so like in the middle of the field, like 30-yard line, 35-yard line, okay? So let's play this full speed. We got outside shade. The wide receiver has a stance like switch, so quarterback is over to the left. You could tell by the hash marks if you guys can't tell, but he is outside on the right side, and you see he's lined up closer to the hash, so his split is cut down, very similar to one-on-ones, and then we got the DB who's outside shade. So he's there to not give up the corner, not not give up the out route. Don't give up the fade. Force everything inside. So let's watch what this wide receiver does. So he attacks, fights the hands, gets skinny, and you see how he's able to get a ton more separation because he got skinny. So everybody's biggest fear when you get skinny on a route and you go hip and shoulder to the DB's hip and shoulder and you stay tight to him, everybody's biggest fear is the hand contact. Guys, you just need to have a plan. And your plan of action should be, okay, I have a DB who's outside shade. I need to take an inside release. The only hand of his that prevents the inside release is which hand? Would be his inside hand. That's the only hand. If he jams me with the right hand and I can't fight it, that prevents me from getting the inside release. Let's say he jams me with the left hand. I could still take the inside release. Who cares if he jams you with the left hand? You're off the line. Guys, press releases are all about being able to maintain timing with your quarterback and get you to that correct spacing from situations exactly like this. So you see how this receiver, he attacks him, but he's got a plan. He's got a plan to swat the inside arm. That's the one arm that could prevent that free inside release. He gets the hands off. It makes it easy to stack, makes it easy to get him over the top of this DB, throws a good move inside, and look at all the space he has for the QB, and look at all the separation he has from the DB. That is textbook. That's how you want to run that route, fellas. So don't make that mistake of running away. Imagine if he would have given this move and then he would have gone really wide and then went up to the corner. He'd be running right into the DB. Let's stay tight. Let's get vertical and let's get skinny, okay? So let's play this again full speed one more time. Great job by this receiver attacking him, giving that fake inside, and making sure he got skinny on his route. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like to get faster this year and want 70+ speed and agility drills, all categorized for you guys, all with information easy to follow, exact sets and reps to do, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.